In this video, I'll be focusing on the accessibility aspects of the Rubric module that I'm working on currently. You can find more about the Rubric module at drupal.org/project/rubric. It's still a work in progress, but I wanted to show off an aspect of accessibility that's built into Drupal core beyond just using fields. So for starters, if you build complex content types and you use Drupal's built-in form API, you're going to help ensure the accessibility of the authorship experience as well as the output, or at least have a better chance of being accessible out of the box. But let's see an additional thing that's going on here. So this is a complex series of field collections, and one problem with rubrics that I noted immediately as I was building it is there's an assumption of what these words mean, right? So excellent by itself doesn't mean anything. Now, to me, being able to see this, excellent is directly associated with the rationale below it, right? But there's nothing that's actually doing that natively. So what we need to do is help provide screen readers and things like that a better description of what it is the screen reader is taking in. And one of those ways is with a CSS class that's built into Drupal. It's called element invisible. So this is kind of the battle back and forth between accessibility and interface design, because you want to convey meaning visually as a graphic designer to say, oh, okay, this is a clean design, it's responsive, all that stuff, there's good spacing, but it needs to still convey a message of what these different elements mean. And you can do this through area landmarks and things, and this is just one approach that I'm taking at the moment. So where the class element-invisible comes into play is it allows you to place text and labels and other items on the screen so the screen readers will still see them, but it uses a CSS property known as clip, which effectively renders it invisible to people that are sighted. So to see this property in action, I'm going to inspect this element here, and we'll see that even though I'm in here, so I'm in the excellent tag, if you will, there's a lot of other tags that are in here, right? The only thing you see is excellent. The screen reader will skip over spans and divs. H4 is conveying meaning, so we could skip to this in the headings, and that's something I plan on doing, is having all of these as different levels of headings in the rubric, so that because the rubric is kind of like a hierarchy. But let's see how we can use element invisible to convey better meaning about what's going on here. So you'll notice I've used element invisible, and to see what element invisible actually does is you can see that it uses the clip property, as I mentioned, and it does some positioning of things. So you can't just throw things off the screen. You can do that, but that won't hit everything. So let's see what happens if I disable some of these. All right, so disable clip and positioning and overflow and all of these properties, right? So these are the main properties that are telling element invisible to hide that stuff. So when I disable them, you'll see that this text shows up. And so what we've been able to do is, I'll inspect this again, and we'll try to make this heading area a lot larger. So let's turn off the overflow hidden portion. There we go. And we can see what's actually happening here. And then we'll take this wrapper class and we'll add the dreaded important tag. Overflow is visible important. Right? And then we'll make the height something ridiculous, like 200 pixels. And again, important. So to see what is actually displayed here within this area to a screen reader is, see, we're basically constructing a small sentence as to what this is with the word in the middle. So for rubric level excellent, you will be awarded between 12 and 10 points. Now, to a sighted user, you didn't see any of that, but that information is actually buried within that portion of the page, so a screen reader would see that. Even just reading that, then, it's a better association of this material to this portion of the page. And so it's going to hit this, it hits this portion, and then these are, even though these are displayed in this way, the text and everything is actually straight down. So it does this as a card, and then we'll do this as a card, and this as a card, and this as a card. And this language changes based on what's on the page. So, for example, this is a points range and this one is not. So we have for rubric level no errors, you will be awarded between 5 and 4 points. Whereas this one is not a range, so it's for rubric level less than 3 errors, you will be awarded 3 points. Additionally, if there are no points at all, the language changes even more dramatically. So in this example, I have average work is the name of the category, and this is try harder, or sorry, it's just try harder, and this is average. It changes the language that a screen reader would hit to say, these are the requirements for average work versus, for rubric level top 20. So I'm working on the language, I'm working on the approach, but I really, I thought it was an interesting way of using the element invisible class, and really it's part of what it's for, is to help convey meaning. Typically you see it used with labels, so that's how Drupal does form elements accessibly, even if you don't include the label. The label is still actually there, they're just hiding it with the element invisible tag.